creativity and stuff. And, we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But, I don't even know what that means because I need a recipe and I need measuring cups.
Right. On that note, we're here with Mike Risk today. We're at O&O Pizza in the heart of Webster Groves. This place is awesome. Obviously, this is where Olive and Oak used to be. Yeah. So, and you guys outgrew that and expanded, and now you have the pizza place, which. Check out your reviews. You know what I mean? Yeah. At all those restaurants.
Thank you. It's so good. And we were just kind of going through the lineup of choices on the street. What's it called? Clover? Is it just Clover?
Clover and the Bee.
Yeah. And then Olive and Oak and O&O. Wow. And then Perennial, of course, is affiliated as well. Great spot for event
there's
space.
An event space down there. It's huge.
Or just a great bar.
Like 250. It holds up to 250 people. So do a lot of weddings, a lot of bar mitzvahs. So much going on.
Basically, you could get here on Lockwood at 7 in the morning and stay till 1 in the morning, right?
Yeah, the hours are crazy. It's a lot of work.
Wow. So. As a little recap to catch everybody up, we just kind of got right into it today, but we're here with Mike Risk. Like I said, he's the executive chef here at O&O Pizza, and he's been nonstop, I would say, in the industry for the past 18 years or so.
God, longer than that. I'm 47 now. Started when I was like 15.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You liked it. You stuck with it. Yeah. You've mastered it. I know you started one of your first jobs was at Trattoria Marcella.
It was, yeah.
And you gave them a lot of credit for really showing you the ropes financially.
They're the best.
Planting the gardens. Tending to it, and then the food. And then what happened after that?
Opened up a deli down in Soulard, 9th Street Deli.
Another unbelievable treasure.
It was fun.
In St. Louis.
Did that for probably like 2 years. And then was at the Mac. Went to the Mac after that and kind of really started trying to change the landscape of the Mac. Because in the beginning it was just kind of like a bar.
But the pizza there was really good.
It was baller. It was pretty good.
It was good for a bar.
So I think it was probably went to the Mac pretty full time in 2010, and then it could have been earlier than that too. But really, we really wanted to change the landscape of what we were doing there, and we really were just trying to make it like a family bar and grill. Kind of like Biggie's.
Oh, and it turned into that. You put those basketball hoops in there, forget that. That's where the kids are going afterwards.
People keep bringing it up that we took them out. COVID happened, and it was like, all right, well, we're changing, and we took it out, and everyone asks me. Literally, somebody asked me last week about it. I can't believe you're bringing this up. Do people still go there? It's so funny. Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just kidding.
It's funny.
But of course. How could I not? Well, you know why? Because my kids were the shitheads in there.
I know. They want stuff to do. I get it.
But, I'll tell you what. Let's just put it this way. If you're from St. Louis, if you live in St. Louis, or if you've been to St. Louis, Mike's cooked for you at some point.
Yeah, probably.
Seriously. Between
it's been a long time.
All of those places that you just described, Trattoria Marcella, the Mac, O&O Pizza, the Clover and the Bee, Olive and Oak. So that's an array of places. And second of all, if you haven't been to one of those places, then I don't even know what you're doing.
You're missing out.
It's true.
So
that's funny.
Yeah, we're talking about some of the real. I don't think this is a stretch to use this word, but I think the places you mentioned are just some of the current icons, even though they've, even some. I know we're talking about a place here that's maybe been around 5 or 7 years.
Well, opened in the end of 2020.
Okay, so
during COVID.
There you go, great idea. Well, as it turned out, it was.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a sphere of a geographic sphere that's kind of small, really. Maybe a 10-mile area that you've kind of covered. But local. These are some, and as I was preparing for, to come talk to you today, I think about this a lot. Like St. Louis should be pretty proud of its restaurant and bar scene. For the population that we serve, it's pretty amazing what's available. And we have some kind of what I would call maybe restaurant destinations, whether it's the Hill or Central West End or even now Chesterfield's trying to get some or Fifth Street in St. Charles. But we're in Webster Groves right now, and I think it's so convenient and so central, and I know these places are packed every night, aren't they? I mean, it's not impossible to get in, but it's certainly people know about these places.
Yeah, we're on reservations for Olive and Oak and for O&O Pizza. So, and then the Clover Wine Bar, which we just started. We started it last year, but it's really picked up a lot of traction and a lot of speed in the last probably like 2 months, and we didn't really advertise it. We didn't really put it out there and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We just kind of started it, and we were just kind of word of mouthing it a little bit. And then, I think like a foodie came out and like did a little thing on us, and it just blew up. And so like now, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the Clover Wine Bar at night just kind of kicks. We're like, whoa, what is happening? We're like, wow, we have so many. We have 60 reservations tonight. We have 50 reservations, and we're like,
wow,
oh man, we didn't really expect to get reservations, to be honest with you. We were just kind of doing something kind of cool.
People know the brand too.
Wild. That's great point.
That's really cool.
Well, let me ask you, okay, so let's just say we're here, or we're at Olive and Oak, okay? There's something magical about a restaurant, the hustle and bustle of a restaurant, the sounds of a restaurant, the clanking of the dishes, the aromas that you get, the bartender talking. When everything's on all cylinders, the lighting's right, the right music's on, the kitchen has a unbelievable, chaotic, rhythmic flow to it. When all of that's just cooking, I mean, can you explain?
No pun intended.
As a chef, as an executive chef,
can you see the goosebumps?
what that? Can you explain what that feels like to come out and just experience that when you're in that moment? It's kind of like, playing in a big game with a crowd or without a crowd. When the restaurant's like that, you have a crowd.
It's wild. It's like what we live for. As like a chef, as a restaurateur, it's the everything. It's like I stand in the back of O&O Pizza and I'll just look out and it's full and it's going and there's people waiting to sit and there's so much activity going. The kitchen's flowing, everyone's on the right page, and you're just like in the middle of it, like the conductor of it all, right? Like you're the person that like kind of like put it all together. You kind of grouped it all together. That's always kind of been my job. So when you're in it, you're just in it. You're like, oh my God. And you get to watch these people take their first bite of something that you made, something that came out of your brain. You're like, I'm going to come up with this dish. It'll be cool. I think it'll be all right. And then you literally watch somebody take that first bite and they do that head nod of like, yes, this is so good. And you're like, man, I did it. That's it. Like that's what you look for. That's what you want. It's so exciting. And it's kind of euphoric, like it's a really hard thing to like really put into words, but it is, when it's going, the music's going and everybody's into it and you see people that are loving what you're putting out. There's no words, it's cool.
I love going to restaurants and good places that are, either places that are unknown but great or places that are well known and great. And, but I don't know a lot of chefs. No, very few actually. And I think of the term executive chef, and I think of we have a place with the word pizza in the name, and this place, and everyone knows, but I just think it's worth articulating here because, I mean, this is not just like a pizza place. No. This is like, I mean, I've eaten here and it's spectacular. Can you talk about what it means to be the executive chef at a pizza place, quote unquote?
With the name of it being O&O Pizza in the beginning, we were kind of like, that's the brand O&O, like that's what we were kind of going for, and following it up with pizza. We might have botched the name a little. I think that just kind of people do kind of think, it's a pizza place, it's a pizza parlor, kind of whatever. It's not. it's full blown dinner.
Yeah,
you know,
this one we should do on video. This podcast because you could tell when you come in here with the wine cabinet, the elaborate bar, and just the seating arrangements. It's a place to go for dinner for sure.
Yeah, no, it is, and we're super focused on like fresh pasta. That's kind of like that's my jam. I mean, that's like everything. I want to try and do the best possible pasta that I can do. It's been a big deal for me. But then we have tons of entrees. We have, really great salads. We have sides. The sides are awesome, like vegetable sides. And I mean, it's everything, it's not just pizza,
and it's good to be recognized, of course, and get that demonstration of success. But there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that too. And so, when I think about the consistency that's required for a head chef, it's got to be a little bit exhilarating but exhausting, and there's pressure, right?
Tons. Yeah, the pressure is wild, and the hours are kind of endless. Even when you're off, you're really not off.
Yeah, what's that look like? Like, if you're making
you have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, maybe.
You're the only one person, maybe.
I mean, day starts usually around like 9 or 10 in the morning, and it usually ends around midnight, 1 o'clock, sometimes later. It just depends. But yeah, even on your days off, it's constant texting or phone calls or conversations with your food reps or your farms or whoever. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't quit. It doesn't stop.
It's not just putting flour and water together, right? You got some administrative and business aspects. You got personnel.
And I'm trying to like kind of shift things a little bit right now. The last, 6 months, 7 months, I'm trying to teach people and show people how to do it, to like pull my stuff back a little bit. Back in August, I was diagnosed with muscular sclerosis. So that was a weird one. Had no idea that I had it. It was I just literally woke up and my right eye, my vision was blurred and weird. And as the day progressed, it got worse and worse and worse. So then, luckily, and here the restaurant part plays a part, right? So there was a retina surgeon that comes in here. He's awesome. His wife has all of these like food allergies, gluten-free, dairy-free, like all this stuff. And I always make sure to take care of them and make sure like that's good. He gave me his number. He's like, hey, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm like, I'm never going to need this guy. I don't need a retina doctor. I'm good, right? So all this is happening. I text him. I was like, hey, man, I've got some thing. My vision's weird. I'm not really sure what's going on. So I text him. He, calls me back. And long story short, 8 p.m., I'm at my home. And I have this retina surgeon at my house checking me out, like doing all this stuff for me. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. So he sends me, he's like, hey, you're first thing tomorrow morning, you're going to, see this ophthalmologist, blah, blah. So I go in and she's like immediately like, all right, so we're going to go ahead and send you up to the emergency room. This is what we got to do. We're thinking stroke, or we're thinking maybe MS. And I'm like, whoa.
Because nothing was wrong with your eye.
No, well, my eye had drifted almost like over to the side. So like it was like kind of stuck there. So my vision was just, if I looked out of my left eye, I could see, out of my right eye, I could see, but they were just so
right when you heard that,
freaking out. I mean, I'm like, what is going on? So it was probably about 12 hours of testing, MRIs with contrast and, CAT scans, and I had a spinal tap. Just everything. And so my day started at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that was a long day.
Yeah. And about 10:30 that night, a team of neurosurgeons come in, they, put these pictures on the board, and they're like, yep, you see these are lesions, you have MS, this is the road ahead. And I'm like, oh man. So yeah, I mean, I was in the hospital for like 5 or 6 days. I was fine. You know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't see. But, you know, figured it all out. And now here we are, like 6-7 months later, and everything's good. You know, like I feel good. And they just call them kind of like relapses or whatever. So yeah, I just need to avoid the relapses. And a part of that is like taking some of the stress away, you know, so like pulling back a little bit. And that's kind of been my goal right now, is like, I need to be the best teacher. I need to be the best mentor. I need to, you know, show these guys like, hey, this is how I would do it, and this is why, and give them the reasonings. And it's, you know, so far so good. You know, I've got a group of like really talented people here that like want to be big deals in the business. So I've lucked out in that sense. And yeah, I think it's working. You know, these last few months have been pretty incredible. I've been able to work a little bit less, not a ton, but like I can see the light where it's like, all right, well.
And other people know they're going. This is an opportunity for them to 100%. Step up, and you want to help them to get there, which you always did, but now you're like, well, speed it up.
Yeah,
just, you know,
I'm putting it out there for you. Well, you know, serving it up.
Unbelievable. I mean, I mean, I think of like patience. I think of resilience. Like, to get that type of news, and then you know, you have to go through probably stages of thought and continue with certain rituals to keep yourself in the state of mind that you want to be in. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. I've been in it. I mean, you know, I've just been you're really pretty deep in your thoughts on all of it. You have to kind of figure out which direction you're going. You can either kind of like clam up and ball up in a corner and go boo-hoo and say whatever, or you can just be like, well, I got it, and I'm just going to go about my life normal and just kind of play it as it goes. Different life. I eat different. You know, the working is a little bit different. Not a ton. I wish it was a lot less. Everyone's like, you got to work so much less. But the thing of it is, everyone around here is like constantly like, hey, how long have you been here? You know, have you eaten? Have you done? Like, everyone does look out for me here, which is awesome. I think I've lived this life where I just don't, you know, you don't really look out for yourself. You know, you're just like, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to go here. I got to go there. I got to take care of this. This restaurant needs this. I need a dishwasher. I need, you know, it's like all of these things. So you don't really like take it on fully, you know? So yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment period, but, it's made me way more grateful, which is weird to say, but it gave me a chance to slow down for a minute and like really appreciate what has been kind of built. You know, me and my wife have done a lot of work in the last like 8 years. You know, Olive and Oak opened in 2016, and we've just been kind of like, you know, heavy metal going, you know, and it's worked, you know. She kills it down the street. I mean, that's a 28,000 square foot building down there, and she does so much work in it. I mean, she really kind of keeps that ball rolling, and then I'm down here in this building with these two spaces and just kind of doing my part as well. So between the two of us, you know, we've worked really hard at what we do, and really proud of the body of work that has been put out. It's crazy. You know, it's wild, you know, the whole thing.
I think that's the only way you could stay in a relationship in that type of industry. If
that was on my mind.
Is in the same industry,
for sure,
a block away.
Right.
But it's like the combination of those two.
Yeah.
Even though you might not even see her, the fact that she's there, you're here, you're both working the same hours, doing the same thing.
We don't see each other.
A, don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And B, they're not going to be complaining about you always work long hours at night.
Right.
It's all the same.
And we don't have to worry about who's cooking dinner.
We don't cook.
Right, exactly.
We get out of work, we don't cook. We usually go like out to eat everywhere. So
you're not.
Who knows?
You know, I mean, obviously all those things Chris said, and your perspective, is affected, of course, necessarily. Even if your mind might be changed, even if your body isn't quite, doing what it needs to be doing yet, because you're not letting it rest to the extent you probably need to. But hopefully you take that seriously and make sure, because you're obviously valuable to the community. You're making a big difference here. And I just think about just the story you told about the retina surgeon, because that's like it's like the real world example of networking.
Totally.
You did a great job, not looking for anything more than that's your job, and then someone recognized you for that. So they said, if you you earned their respect, and they wanted some connection with you. You created that, and then you're texting them briefly after.
Yeah,
it's just
weird.
I'm gonna plug St. Louis for that kind of networking. That's pretty great. And so the head chef is accessible here. Evidently.
Totally. Yeah. Well, I come out and talk to people pretty often, and especially when you see the same faces, you're like, hey, how are you? What's going on?
Sure.
And a lot of people from Webster come in here a ton, but it's also people, my best friends come in here. People I used to cook for at Trattoria come in here, 20 years ago, they're coming in here. They're like, oh my God, this is so great that you're doing this again. Because for a period of time, I was bar and grill, I was at the Mac, and, this wasn't my style of cooking. So when I came back into it, it lit a fire like you wouldn't believe. I was like, whoa, what have I been doing for the last
love at first sight?
Yeah. I'm like, what have I been doing for the last 6 or 7 years? I know it's been food still, but food on this level is like another world.
We'll take. Yeah, if you by any kind of search criteria, you look up the best restaurants in town, this block's going to have several of them, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's really cool.
So when you talked about some of the adjustments you're gradually implementing, particularly on the teaching side, and you have to, it's a different way of communicating with people, right?
Yeah.
It's a different level of patience and humility, and some level of creativity is lost, or not lost, but transferred.
Sure.
But probably because to some extent, you do have to pull back. How does that affect your mind from a creative standpoint?
It makes it almost makes it more focused and more concentrated.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
The thing with restaurants and how they work, it's team building. You have to build the best team that you possibly can in the back to make it all work, and in the front. The back part of it has always been my thing. Kitchen is, that team is vital. So, I feel like I've been like this team builder for like a long time. So it wasn't so much of an adjustment. It wasn't that big of a change for me. But it was definitely letting go and being like, okay, you come up with this, you come up with that. Hey, I need a new salad. We need a new pasta. What do you think? What are your thoughts? And, it's funny. Mark, who's one of the owners, we were talking about kind of the same thing. And he said, you have to trust them, but you're going to also have to trust that they're going to fail. And I was like, well, I don't want to. What do you mean? He's like, they're gonna fail, and you just have to trust it. They're gonna fail, and then you're gonna be there to pick up the pieces of the fail, and then they're not gonna fail again.
It's being a parent. It's
I was like, oh man, that's a really interesting way to look at it. And so, I don't let them fail.
Which is also what we're not supposed to do as parents. Same concept.
Exactly.
But so, I want to speak real quick to something we talked about before with the food allergy.
It's huge.
First of all, think about that. It's not like, I took care of them at this restaurant. For someone, we all know, we all have, I think we've all experienced or have a family member who, where, if they eat certain types of food, their body's not going to work as well.
Exactly.
And to be able to get delicious food like that is at a nice place, and you the chef personally tells you this. that's very important. We all know how important that could be. So, he was returning whatever favor he could return because that means a lot. I mean, I know how that would be, and he was just being a good person, obviously, as well. But that's a huge thing that you guys provided for him. I'm just saying it, and then also,
a place like this, you could just say, "This is what we make. Screw it."
Well, yeah, or just like, sure, but they might not know what they're talking about either.
It's the one thing in our restaurants, we take it so serious. It's like my kids have severe nut allergies. So I lived that life their whole youth, you know, and it's scary. You go out to eat and you're on like pins and needles.
Right.
Like, oh man, especially, I mean, that was like the mid 2000s when my kids were young, and it was like the allergy scene wasn't as relevant at that moment, but it was just like, you go out and it was like, my kids wouldn't even eat. They'd be like, not eating here.
It's not worth it.
I don't trust them.
Yep.
And it was like, fair enough. So we would eat, and then we would go to like McDonald's or something and get them something. But in these restaurants, it is very prevalent for us. Like, we definitely take care of it, where it's like gluten-free, dairy-free, nut allergies. We try and not use a lot of nuts in our restaurants. So, between Olive and Oak, Ono Pizza, and Clover, the allergy, relevance, it's big. We make sure to take care of the people who have those issues.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I also read somewhere that it allowed you to pay more attention to detail.
Oh, for sure.
Because, you're still using energy. You're just using it in a different way. You're using probably more than you would like to. I'm sure every day you're like, I did a little too much, But to be able to, because I know that's one of your main focuses with food is creativity. I know that's huge with you, and with all of it, the pastas, the pizza, everything. And then, like Pete said, now you're and it's always been to duplicate it with consistency, which is always a challenge, obviously, but it's not a challenge that you haven't stepped up to, and your team hasn't stepped up to consistently, because that's why the reputation of this place is the way it is. Service as well, of course, atmosphere, but when you have the food on top of it, a lot of places can do the first two. Not a lot, half.
Yeah.
But if you throw the food on top,
we've got a lot of great people. I mean, from front of the house, back of the house, we have like some real veterans. Our front of the house is great here. We have this girl Haley and this girl Victoria, and Victoria's been with us since the very beginning. Olive and Oak, like 2016, started as a server and is still here doing it, which has been incredible. And Haley's been around, man. She's great at wine, worked at Katie's Pizza for a long time, just kind of been everywhere, but they're great. So you have that like front of the house, and we just kind of like marry the two, the front and the back, like get married, right? And make it so good and make it all work. And it's huge. I mean, and I've got some guys in the back that are really good, very talented. I've been blessed, so lucky with all of it, and it's working, and exciting.
It seems like it's been love at first sight every time. You've went to this whatever place you went to, you're like, oh, this is it, and then this is it.
Yeah.
Where does that inspiration come from? I mean, can you pinpoint what it is?
Man. I don't know. I think it's just, getting into the restaurant business when I was like 15, 16 years old, and there is just some kind of camaraderie. There's a family feel, I think you're always wanting to belong to something when you were younger. So I think, at that age, I was kind of like, man, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. I have no plans. I don't really like school.
Right.
It really wasn't my jam. So it was kind of like, how do I make a living at something? And I was in the restaurants, and I was like, man, I love this. This is great. The energy's great.
You could have maybe been in any industry if the energy was just right. Like, I'm the same way. I like the team aspect of it. I want to see what happens if this person's doing this and this person's doing this person doing this, and how it could come together. Like, that's always been a big thing for me in my industry too. It's like anybody could go and do it on their own, but it's just much more fun when you have
a group,
a well-oiled machine and when you get the flywheel turning, it goes by itself.
It's really cool when you get a group of people that kind of think like the way you do, right? Where they're creative, you're creative, and you get like right now I have like 5 or 6 people around me that are like kind of on this level of like, you know, they're getting ready to like turn the corner and be like really, really freaking good. And it's really cool because the conversations are incredible. We're just like, man,
that's inspiring, right?
Oh, man, it's so cool, and kind of
knowing
see
that they're
them
gonna
come
get
to
there.
life. Yeah, and to be the person that kind of like puts them on it and like helps them turn that corner and be that person for them, and just tell them like, hey, don't be scared, don't be afraid, just do it. Be okay with failing at this. It's going to be okay. You know, prime example. We put a new pasta on 2 weeks ago, and the guy who came up with it was incredible. And he's like terrified of it. He's like, oh, I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be good. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be great. I promise you. We put it on first night, doesn't sell. Not one. And he's terrified. He's like, next day he's like, I told you this.
Remove it. Get the eraser.
I go, dude, you don't understand it. Like, it takes time for it. This is a new item. Like, we change the menu all the time. Like every other day, every other. It's constant. A lot of menus get changed seasonally. We don't. We
keep it interesting.
We change it every day if we can, and it's just kind of been like our model, right? So next night we sell like 2. Next night we sell like 3 or 4. We get to the weekend. Oh, we sell like 10 or 12, and now it's like our number one. It's our like number one seller. 2 weeks later, and he's like, "I can't even keep up with making." I'm like, "You're the one that was complaining about it earlier that it wasn't selling, and now it is, right?" So that's kind of cool to see where it's like that's scared, not really sure what direction it's going in, and then it hits. You know, and
cool
now
to measure stuff too.
And now the gratification he gets is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I'm looking at it like, man, good for you, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and there is definitely a pleasure in that, and seeing that. You're like, oh man, that's cool. Like,
and that's a motivation for other people too. You know, as you're encouraging them to come up with things. You know, I think about, is there another, and maybe it'll be obvious as we're talking about it, but I'm just thinking about, and my daughter, she just entered the restaurant industry as a hostess, you know, and I told her how important, you know, she's the first line, and so she could make or break someone's experience.
She's the first impression.
And I think about the industry. I don't go, and I love trying new places. I don't go anywhere without checking reviews. Yeah. I mean, is it the most scrutinized industry that there is? It is like...
to be honest, everyone asks me this. Well, did you see this review? Did you see this review? I've never looked at a review.
And I
ever.
And that makes...
It's just not... It's one of those things. I've never looked to see what people think. I just do.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this.
You can't be obsessed.
Well, not on the internet or not on social media, but what you do look at is the reaction of the people in real time.
Yeah.
How often do you do that? Is that something are you looking at their reaction every night?
Every night.
Every night you want to see.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean
that's one of the best parts.
Yeah, and it's, you know, if there is someone that's like unhappy with something, like, oh, you know, I didn't really care for it or whatever, I'm at their table. You know, if I'm here and I can be, I walk out. I was like, hey.
How often does that happen?
Not too often. I mean,
do you tell them they're just wrong?
No, that'd be cool though, right?
I'm going to resort back to my I don't care what people think.
I don't. I mean, I obviously you do care,
right?
But the review
but
part
if 9
of it,
people love it and one person doesn't, then it's.
I just have never fed into it.
It's a crazy.
I've heard, you know,
and because, you know, you might see whatever, I'll call it a 5-star review.
Sure.
You know, an average of a 5-star review, but then you see the offshoot of one person that had like the most miserable experience last week. Yeah. And you're like, well, now what? Did everybody? You know,
it just falls off.
You can draw way too many conclusions.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's a tough business because there's no question that the competition is everywhere.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
And B, because people have the phones at their fingertips, and they're just they can say whatever they want in the moment.
Yeah, and you say the competition. There's competition everywhere. I think what's really cool about St. Louis and what's changed in our restaurant community is everyone really is pulling for everyone. And like that's the coolest part. Is like I think at a period of time it was very much a competition. It was like, oh, we're going to be better than them. We want to be better than them. I think now it's more or less like, hey, we're together, and it's like whatever we can do to help you out. Like we want you on the map. We want you to be great. I think it's especially now it's like with all of the restaurants opening and kind of going through, the restaurant business went through COVID together. In St. Louis.
No option.
Everyone bonded together. We were on the phone together. We were texting each other. We were in Zoom meetings together. Like, how are we going to get through this? What do we do together as a community, as a group to make this work? And because we all wanted to be on the other side of it. Like, imagine if you had a huge group of restaurants that just shut down after, because we couldn't make it. What would have happened? There'd be no restaurant scene. That would be weird, right? Like, if St. Louis couldn't go out to eat.
No, you need that.
Like, it would be nuts.
Who knows when you had your diagnosis,
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not going to go through the list, but you just put your head on a swivel and look around this room we're in and think about all the industries that would be affected if restaurants went out of business.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's so much
many
supplies and services that are provided for just this one relatively small place to eat.
Liquor and beer and food
chairs,
and farms
TV,
and
cable.
Yeah, all of it.
Unbelievable.
All of it. There's so much.
Well, I read too in that one of those articles, maybe it was in the Riverfront Times, but it said after the pandemic, you were hoping for a boom once people could get out and enjoy the industry again.
It happened.
I think you could say you got
It
that,
happened,
right? And like anything else, once you go through adversity or together, then normally you're going to come out stronger on the other side.
And the community just grew. I mean, it just got so good. And I think there were a lot of relationships like inside the restaurant world that came together. Huge groups, heads of groups, head chefs, restaurateurs, general managers. Everyone was just kind of like, what are we doing? What do we do to keep this thing going? Like, what are you guys doing? Hey, this is what we're doing, and it's working. You should try it. So it was good. We got through it. Here we are, 4 years, 3 years removed from it for the most part, I think. And then it just seems to be going good. And everyone's just so close now. You know, it's like I talk to a lot of chefs and, restaurant people on a pretty much weekly basis. And it's the coolest feel because you're like, you're not going against them, you're working with them. We're all working together to just do like really cool food and really make St. Louis's restaurant scene like legit. It's already legit, but like it's on the map.
You just can't stay complacent. You gotta keep moving.
I feel like we're like right there with Chicago. I think we're right there with, I wouldn't say we're on New York level, LA level, but I think we're getting close to Chicago. If we're not like close, we're like right there. We have tons of restaurants.
Well, most people across the country, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Some's
but
get
it's
it,
happening.
But I mean, when they come, they know.
There's a lot of national
the
press.
locals know it.
Yeah, a lot of national press is coming to St. Louis. You have Gerard Kraft and Lauren Nellick and the Balkan Group and O&O and my wife was nominated for 3 James Beard Awards. Like that's crazy.
That is
and
nuts.
Just the nominations and just all of these groups and in St. Louis, it's really, really cool to see and exciting. I mean, I feel like the next even 2 to 4 years of St. Louis restaurant scene, it's just going to get better and better and better. It's like people are going to open up stuff. It's going to, restaurants are going to open and bars are going to open and it's cool. It's cool to be a part of. It's cool to see. You look at what they're doing at City Park.
I was just going to get there. I was just going to say, man, if you talk about getting seen, I mean,
that's it.
The place to be right now on a Saturday night in St. Louis is City Park, and I know you guys have had a lot of success at that adventure. So what are you guys providing there?
Yeah, so there we're doing cheesesteak
that's the
from
thing,
Clover.
yeah.
It's like what everyone wanted. And we're doing that. We're doing the Ono burger. We're doing a kids burger. We're doing some fries it's a loaded fry with cheesesteak on top of the fries, which is insane. We're doing toasted ravioli down there, obviously.
Yeah.
It's the St. Louis staple. Why not? And then we're doing a duck dog that we run down at Perennial. So it's like a duck hot dog, made with pork and duck in it. So yeah, it's just something different. Just really trying to open up, like have a bunch to choose from. And that was like the one thing that they said. They were like, just make it kind of like the one-stop shop. I want to be able to get something for my kid, my wife, my friend, me, drinks, whatever. I
haven't had the burger, but I heard some people swear by the burger down the street.
Well,
isn't it part of the happy hour deal too?
It is. The Ono burger is so good.
Yeah.
It was one that I know Mark and Jesse worked on like relentlessly. They wanted it to be so perfect, so good, and when it came out in 2016, it just right off the gun, it came out and was good. But yeah, what they've done at City Park and down there, like, Matt Seebeck is one of the guys that kind of like runs the whole thing. Gerard Kraft has done an amazing job. Like the two of them have like just made this, it's like a food scene down there,
no question.
And it's wild because I'm a diehard soccer guy. Aren't you too?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
We got season tickets down there. Yeah.
So it's like, it's a weird thing, I guess, for me because I'm such a diehard soccer guy that it's like, I don't really give a shit about the soccer or the food. I'm more of the soccer part of it. But now it's like I'm in the middle.
Right.
It's like I'm getting tugged both ways. Like, hey, you gotta love the food down here. It's like I do. So it's cool. I mean, to be able to do both soccer and food at one place. I get the two loves together. Mm-hmm. Like, how lucky. I mean, you talk about dream case scenario. This is it. Like,
City takes it seriously with that food.
Yeah, I love soccer more than anything, and I love food more than anything. I get to do both at one spot. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's awesome.
It's like we're in there, we're making food, and you hear...
yeah, what an atmosphere.
They're in there like, STL.
While they're taking a bite of your cheesesteak.
And we're in the kitchen just cooking cheesesteaks, and it was awesome. 2 weeks ago, I brought my son down there. He's 21, soccer player, played all of his life, whole deal. And he came down there to cook with us, and he's in there. And it's like... we're in section 219, and it's the supporter section. So it's loud, right? We're sitting in there and we're working and we're going, and we hear the chants, and me and him just kind of, he's down the line a little bit from me, and we kind of look at each other, and we're kind of like in this moment of like, holy shit.
Can you believe this?
This is awesome. Like, we're down here making food right now, and again, that's TL.
That's unbelievable.
It's awesome. So yeah, it's very cool to be downtown, and like again, it's like kind of hoping that there's like a nice resurgence of downtown.
I always walk down Locust. I parked on Locust.
Yeah.
There we go. It's several blocks down. I keep seeing new places open up every time I do the walk. There's a new bar that's sitting there.
Yep. And there's spots around. Like there's a place that's literally like a block away for lease. I don't even know who it is or whatever. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, boy, I can't believe that isn't taken yet. But man, it will be. Again, you go back into that 2 to 4 year slot. They're gonna open. It's gonna build around there. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Pete's a ref. He was just there reffing the City Scott Gallagher game last night. U17 at City Park.
You're reffing?
Yeah.
How is it?
It's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
Is it brutal?
I mean, come Sunday night, by the time I've done too many games.
The parents are a little crazy.
Well, they don't even let them in the big park in City.
I know. They're on the outskirts. Yeah.
Those games are high level, but they're the parents are reasonable in those games.
That's cool.
They're not allowed to talk.
Well, I coached club soccer for like 8 to 10 years for Ajax.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I had a kid play on Ajax for a bit. Yeah.
So it was like we, going to those games. I mean, I was so very forward with the parents. I was like, hey, here's the deal. You don't say a word.
Yeah.
You know, cheer your kid on, you know.
Right.
Go kid, go, but you're not directing. I don't want you coaching. You don't tell him where to go. You stay quiet. You just watch your son play.
Right. If I want the ref yelled at, I'll yell at him.
Exactly.
Right.
And look, we trained all week long. I was like, I got your kid all week long. We're going to train all week, and we're going to get to this game. You don't. We never stood up. We never screamed and yelled. We never. It was just we literally sat there and watched the game. That's how they do it in Europe. I mean, you guys know.
Yeah,
this.
I know.
It's like, I know it's different here.
That's how
We're
they
in the
did it
States.
last night at the
Different,
game,
you
too.
know? So yeah, it's it was just kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, look, if you're going to get up and yell and hoot and holler and embarrass the team, your kid's going to sit right next to me and never
Isn't it
play.
so strange, though? I know they're kids.
Crazy.
I know they're kids, but I mean, at the professional games, it's our job.
Right.
Or we're required to.
Yeah.
We're not fans. We're literally
No.
called supporters because if we're not doing that, it's like, buddy, somebody else will step in and do it
Right.
if you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So,
That's wild.
But at the kid level, it's like, come on, guys. Get your
with
shit
it.
together. Come on.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
You can't do that.
we
If
got
you make
lucky.
it professional, then you get the right to do that.
Yeah.
But that's,
Yeah, I've thought about reffing.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Later. Not right now.
No,
I'm busy.
You're busy.
yeah, still
busy
you
now.
can
Still
a lot of
that in.
nights and
But I do.
weekends.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to coach again for
Yeah.
sure. I had a blast doing it. But yeah, reffing
There's
or
a need
coaching.
for good coaches,
No.
for sure.
Good coaches, but the refs there's a shortage, right?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
wild.
I mean, I'm reffing after this. I'm reffing basically every day. You know, it's available.
Yeah.
3-0 City
Just
last night.
yeah, who
Yeah.
cares?
That's cool.
Yeah, it was they're a good team. I mean, Lutz was there
Really?
to watch because
Yeah.
he had probably see who the up and comers
Sure.
are and stuff.
Yeah.
But impressive facility they have there. Everything's high class, of course.
A lot of those guys come in here and eat. It's pretty
Is that
cool.
right?
Yeah.
I
Coach,
believe-
coach,
Oh, cool.
coach comes in pretty often.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah. Lowen was just in here Sunday.
No
So,
kidding.
yeah, he creeps. He
That's
creeps
a
in
good-
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a-
It's really cool.
Good spot. Well, it's
Yeah,
easy
and
to get
it's
to
like in
from the
and out.
stadium.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
they come in and nobody
Well-
really bothers them. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of the cool thing. Where
Yeah.
it's like you can come in. A lot of the Blues come in. Baseball players come in. But yeah,
This is
it's
the
cool.
place.
Yeah.
for sure.
And
fun.
some of those soccer players are kind of like, oh,
they're
that's cool that you noticed me.
Yeah. No,
You know,
they love
some
it.
of them.
They
Yeah,
love
yeah.
it. Yeah. They're really cool.
But I mean, I also wanted to. I mean, just with the coaching thing, you know, those are opportunities all over too, which
Yeah.
I'm sure you.
Mm-hmm.
But what about if you said you go out to eat a lot? Where are a couple of your go-tos that you
man.
like?
God, you know, it's like phases, right? But right now, I don't know. We're like Bar Moro is one of our spots. We love going there. It's like a place you would see in Spain. Ben Paremba's done an amazing job over there. The food is killer. It's really good. Biggie's is always. I mean, I'm
It's got good flavor.
South City.
That's right,
So
baby.
good.
I'm
So good.
I'm so old.
Any
school,
place that's
so.
still around that long is going to be pretty good.
We hit there pretty often. Try and stop into Trattoria, you know, and visit Stevie and Jamie. I mean, that's my home base, so I love going down there. Yeah, you know, sushi station right down the street. Like, you know, I think with us, it's like, you know, we like to walk a ton. So as much exercise as we can get, that's what we're doing. So we'll walk to sushi station from our house. You know, my wife's favorite restaurant is Ono Pizza. So she's like, it's like, hey, you want to go out to eat? It's like, yeah. She's like, can we please go to pizza? And I'm like,
What does
oh
she
my
get?
God.
Pasta or pizza?
You know, it depends. She's a salad girl, loves salad. So sometimes it's an app and salad. Sometimes it's pasta. Sometimes it's it just depends, you know, on the moment. God, where else do we go? I mean, there's so many good places. Obviously, we go to Balkan, Treat Box.
Yeah, you
And-
see their new place? How's
yeah,
that?
Telva, awesome.
Yeah.
yeah. It's funny. She's there right now.
No kidding.
Like she's like, okay, well, cool. I'm gonna go to Telva. And
I
I'm
want to
like,
go there.
all right,
yeah.
cool. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, I'm Lebanese, so it's like that. It's, you know, it's Turkish Balkan food, you know. So
My two refs just
It's
talked
so
about it last
good.
night with me,
It's
and they
awesome.
said that's a go-to place.
I
yeah.
love it. Yeah. Songbird is really good, kind of near like the Grove area.
Yeah, haven't been there.
God, you gotta go.
Okay.
Oof. Yeah, Chris
Good thing
Meyer.
we're recording this. Okay.
Chris Meyer. Yeah, Chris Meyer is awesome. She's just old school, and just does restaurant right. It's crazy. We were there 2 weeks ago, and I told her, I said, I almost feel like you have the perfect restaurant. And she was like, what? And I was like, there's just something about it. You know, the decor is killer. The menus are well written. She uses the farms. Her food is awesome. Her drinks are great. The music is always great. She's always there. You know, it's not big. It's a small place, but it's, to me, it's almost like the perfect restaurant. You know, and that's it's a weird thing to say because
if she would just tweak a couple things.
No, I swear. There's
I need to check it out.
I really
for sure.
don't think there's anything to tweak. I think that she has created this perfect thing down there, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see. And I'm one of those, I sit back and I look at it all, you know, and to say like, oh, and she was like, that's crazy that you would say that. I'm like, I think I'm sitting here and I'm thinking
you feel it.
Yeah, it's like I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm observing, and you know, it's like I'm having this great coffee. I'm having this freshly squeezed orange juice. I'm having this amazing breakfast that, you know, is great. She might send something out because we're there, but like, you know, I'm not there for that. I'm there because I know it's going to be good. You know, the music's great. You know, the vibe is good. The people are great. You know, the decor is. You're just looking at it and you're like, man, mission accomplished. You did it. Good job.
No,
you know, so
I'll definitely check that
really
out.
cool.
That's close to us, so
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, anything else? I guess we've taken a lot of your time
Very
here.
generous with your time. Your story's inspirational, and you know,
Thank you.
Congratulations on amazing success. You know, to you and your wife, of course. And I mean, a lot to be proud of in that house.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. We appreciate it. I mean, the you know, just the story of resilience, the mindset, whatever, putting your focus on what you want to expand, the lessons that your kids are learning, the lessons that your people you work with, the community. Please keep sharing the good vibes throughout St. Louis and abroad, and keep cooking good food.
Hell yeah!
If you haven't checked it out, come down here to O&O Pizza.
And if you have checked it out, the menu's probably changed.
Yeah.
If you have checked it out, the menu's probably changed for sure. The Clover and the Bee, Olive and Oak.
Yeah. Clover Wine Bar. Don't forget that.
And Clover Wine Bar.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't realized that it's gonna be a good vibe.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean, it's not something that is just by chance. It's not passive. It's deliberate.
Yeah.
So when you walk in these places, you're gonna feel it, and that's what you're going out for. I mean, it's your escape, and these places will.
Even
will
Mike doesn't even eat at home, so you shouldn't either.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for tuning in to the Mortgage Podcast. We're going to Pinnacle Talks. It's going with Pinnacle Talks Podcast. Mike, also, thanks for working with us back in the day. We appreciate your trust.
Yeah.
And like, follow, share. We appreciate everything you guys do. We'll tune out on that note.